Welcome to Gone at 21, the Katelyn Markham death investigation. I'm your host, J. Ryan Green, owner of J. Ryan Investigations. My disclaimer, I am a private investigator and former law enforcement detective, not a journalist. Katelyn Markham was a 21-year-old college student from Fairfield, Ohio. Fairfield is a suburb just north of Cincinnati. Katelyn attended the Art Institute of Cincinnati. She was just weeks away from graduation. In addition to being a student, Katelyn held down two jobs. She worked at David's Bridal and at the bookstore for the college she attended. Her co-workers and friends described Katelyn as sweet, kind, bubbly, and she was just fun to be around. She attracted people with her personality. Katelyn was also described as an extremely talented artist. I had the opportunity to see some of her work, and I would say extremely talented is an understatement. She had God-given talent that can't be taught. Katelyn was engaged to John Carter. John delivered pizzas for a living. He lived with his mom and stepfather just around the corner from Katelyn's townhouse, within walking distance. Katelyn and John planned on moving to Colorado with some friends after Katelyn's graduation. But in the interim, Katelyn was going to move out of her townhouse and move in with John and his parents. On August 13th, 2011, Katelyn's plans changed permanently. She was at her townhouse that night with her fiancé John Carter and one of her friends, Brad Von Bargen. Brad left first, then John left shortly after, leaving Katelyn alone at her house. John proceeded to a get-together at his friend's house, Travis Law. At the gathering, John burned some of Katelyn's old documents that she wanted destroyed. Things like old bank statements. While burning Katelyn's documents, John received a couple of texts from Katelyn. The last of those texts was a picture of Katelyn that her boss took, so it was a picture of a picture. According to John, that text came in at about 12:52 a.m. After John left Travis's house, he went home, watched TV, got on the internet, and just before going to bed, he texted Katelyn a good morning message so she would see it when she woke up. John said the text was sent around 4 a.m. Here is John describing the night's events.
That night it was me, Katelyn, and Brad at Katelyn's house. Katelyn was on her computer. She was doing homework or something. I remember that Batman Begins was on. I was talking to Brad. I think a subject about getting mushrooms or something came up. I remember smoking with Brad, smoking with Katelyn. We were all sitting around. Katelyn just pretty much stayed on her computer, and me and Brad talked most of the night. I don't really remember everything we talked about. Brad said he wanted to leave, so he left. Shortly after that, I was just sitting there watching the end of Batman, and I got a little bored. I told her as such. I said I was bored. I said I wanted to go do something. She said she had to stay home. She was a little upset. But on my way out the door, she had her bank documents that she had been collecting and putting together to throw away, set on fire. She wanted to get rid of that. I picked up those, as I told her that I was leaving, as I went to leave, she picked up the bag. It was like an Abercrombie and Fitch bag. She said, I need to burn these. And I just grabbed them out of her hands and I said, I'll take care of it for you. It's okay. And she got a little huffy. And then I said, I love you. I'm sorry. I got all kind of sarcastic attitude sort of thing. And she always laughed at that stuff. So she laughed. I gave her a kiss. I left. I kind of felt bad because I had left it like that. But I still went over to my friend Travis and Carrie's house. I don't know if it was both of their house at that time, or if they were together at that time. I can't remember.
What's Travis's last name?
Law.
Okay.
I went to Travis's house. I picked up the bag out of my car. I brought it to the backyard. I set it in the fire pit, and I went inside. I told them that I wanted to burn that stuff, and that afterwards we can sit and hang out and stuff. So I burned that stuff. My friend Joey Schaefer, I think Josh Shank, and somebody else was outside watching it burn. I was moving the stuff around, and while I was burning all of that stuff, Katelyn texted me and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm burning your bank statements and stuff." She said, "Oh, I really wanted to be there to see it." I said, "I'm going to have to do it for my stuff, so when I collect my bank statements, we can burn mine and we can watch that together or whatever." And she wrote back a series of M's, like, like, sure, whatever. And then she had sent me a picture of a picture that her boss from Art Beyond Boundaries had taken of her. She had been wanting to show me the pictures. I knew that she wanted me to see the pictures, and I guess she had forgot to show me when I left because we were mad at she was upset with me for saying I was bored. So she took a picture of it. I love the picture, and I don't remember if I said anything back to her after the picture. I went inside. I hung out with my friends for a while. I can't remember exactly what time I left anymore. Shortly after I went home, on my way home, or when I got home, I came in. I went upstairs. I watched some TV. Went on the internet for a bit, and then went to bed.
John doesn't mention the text that he sent to Katelyn before going to bed in my interview. He does mention it in an interview that he gave the media about 48 hours after he found Katelyn missing. Let's quickly listen to that clip.
So Katelyn sent me a picture of her, and that was the last message I got. And then that night, when I got home, it was kind of late. I was with some friends after I went to her house, and I was watching TV and stuff like that. And I decided to send her a good morning text message. And normally when she wakes up, she's like, "Oh, thank you for the message. I love you. I miss you. Blah blah blah." And I was like, and she didn't do that.
The next day, Sunday, August 14th, 2011, John wakes up, throws on his clothes, rushes out the door on his way to work. He had to be at work at 5 p.m. After several attempts at texting and calling Katelyn, John got worried and asked his boss if he could go check on her. John arrives at Katelyn's house and sees her car in the parking lot. He enters her townhome with a key. He had not checked to see if the door was unlocked. He just put his key in and twisted. John discovers that Katelyn is not there. John finds Katelyn's dog, Murphy, in her upstairs bedroom. Her purse and her keys were on her bed. The only thing missing was Katelyn's cell phone. Here is John describing Sunday's events.
When I woke up, I don't remember exactly, but I woke up in the evening, afternoon time. I slept in every day. I was a very lazy person. I woke up, I got ready for work. I just slept until I had to go to work, because I'd stayed up so late the night before, so I just slept until I had to go to work. So I just woke up, got my clothes on, didn't even shower. I just took off and went out the door. Went straight to work. Started working. I think I had taken an Excedrin or something before I had left, and those have way too much caffeine in it. I remember being really hyper, and it kind of made me jittery, like drinking too much energy drinks type of a thing. So I was just kind of like, I already felt weird. It already felt weird in the air. And she hadn't said anything to me. I eventually, on a run or something, I text her, no response. Text her again, no response. Tried to call her, no response. I'm assuming at this point that she's at work. It's hitting 5, 6. We get to about 7, I think. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I went in at 5. Hit about 7. That's when she's supposed to be off. That's when she should have been walking out the door, and she should have saw her text messages and noticed that I was texting her, and she should have texted me back. Okay. By that point, that's when I started to worry. That's when I started to freak out, and that's when I expected that she wouldn't be home when I got home. She would be on her way home, and she would have texted me. So I started to panic a little more as time went on. I went to my boss. I said, hey, I gotta go check on my girlfriend. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where she is or what's happening. I got in my car. I went straight there. I didn't even clock out or well, I think I might have clocked out, but I didn't like give them my cash or anything. Maybe I didn't even clock out. I went over there. I think I was talking to Matt while I was driving, Matt Rocamp. And I saw between the houses, I saw a car. I saw her car, and that's where she parked. It was between the apartments. Okay. There's a gap there.
Right. Why didn't she, let me ask you this real quick. Why didn't she park, like, I went there and I saw people just park right behind their back door. Why didn't she park in
for Murphy.
Murphy? Okay.
Yeah. So
and
Murphy.
They had a picnic table and chairs.
Yeah, and there was a table and chairs there, yeah.
Okay.
I think people park up to their doors now.
Okay.
I don't think
they
did back then too.
Yeah.
There were
Not
some
very many.
There were some that didn't. And occasionally her dad would park there, I think.
Okay.
So I saw her car there, and while I was talking to Matt, I went, oh my god, her car's still here. It shouldn't be here. Why the fuck is her car here? And so I was like, dude, Matt, I gotta go. I gotta figure out what's going on. I come around the corner. I go up into the parking lot. I park my car. I get out of my car. I go to the door. I immediately put the key in the door, open the door, go inside, and immediately I go, Katelyn, where are you? Katelyn. And I'm calling out for her. And I'm walking through the house trying to find her, and I go straight up to her room. I open the door. I see Murphy, her dog, in there. I see all the poop on the floor, which indicates to me that he has been in there for a while. I see her purse on the bed. I see her keys, I think, out of her purse on the bed, or they were in her purse. I don't remember anymore. I immediately looked for her phone because if she left without anything but one thing, it would be her phone. She would always have her phone on her. So I was looking for her phone. Because if she did have her phone on her, then I could keep calling her, knowing that she may have her phone on her. If she didn't have her phone on her, then something's even more wrong than I expected. And I was looking for any glimmer of hope. I saw the cord, her charger, without the phone on the end of it. It was like she always draped it over the knob on her dresser drawer, or her nightstand drawer. And I just saw it hanging there, and I started to panic a little, but I just assumed she was maybe out on a blunt run, basically just driving around and smoking, So I called Mary, I called Katie. Those were the usual suspects when it came to when she would go around and smoke with people. Katie Harris, Mary Holloran. So I called those two first after going downstairs and letting Murphy out, and I think I had her keys in my hand at that time or something. I called Katie. She said she didn't know where she was. I called Mary. She said she didn't know where she was. And then I started grasping at straws, and I called a few other people. I can't remember exactly who, until eventually I got to her dad. Then I got to my mom.
Just a couple points about this clip from John Carter. He explains that he saw Katelyn's car between a gap. On that side of the road, there's 2 buildings, and there's 4 townhouse units in each building. And separating the buildings is a gap. And you can see the rear parking lot where the residents park. You actually have to go around the building and pull up into the parking lot and then drive to your respected unit. And the residents actually use the back door to gain entry into their townhomes. The front of the building is just for show. Now, John goes on to say in this clip that he contacted his work to let him know that he wouldn't be able to come back in that evening. He did go back to the store and give his manager the money that he received for his deliveries that night. On the way back from the store to Katelyn's townhouse is when John contacted the police. John said he didn't call sooner because he thought you had to wait 24 hours before reporting somebody missing. Let's listen to John's 911 call.
Fairfield 911, where's your emergency?
Hi, my name is John Carter. I am calling. I know that you're not supposed to report a missing person before 24 hours, but my fiance is missing. I can't find her anywhere.
Okay, where did you see her last?
I saw her at like 12 o'clock last night. She stays in a house by herself, so I'm really nervous. Her car is still there.
Okay,
her
where
purse
at?
is still.
Is there an address?
Yeah, 5214 Dorshire Drive.
5214?
Dorshire, yes.
Okay. And you're out there now?
I'm heading out there now. I have been trying to get a hold of her, and I decided to go by her house to see if she was okay. And her car was still there. She would be at work right now, with her car, which is why I'm really freaking out.
What's her name?
Katelyn Markham.
Have you called hospitals or jails or anything? Where was she at midnight last night when you left?
She was at her house. She was going to bed. She wasn't going out to do anything, so she would have been in her bed. And I mean, I've been with her for 6 years. She's not deceiving, she doesn't.
Okay, and you guys didn't have an argument or anything?
Not at all.
Okay. Is she on any medications or anything?
Not at all.
Has she had thoughts of suicide or anything like that?
No. Never.
Okay.
Never.
All right. And have you talked to her mom or anybody like that? See if she's gone shopping or...
I called her father. The only thing that's not there is her cell phone, which is positive, but she's not answering it. So, and then Sacred Heart Festival is going on right up the street, and there's a lot of questionable people there, and it's just kind of... I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll have somebody meet you there. And what kind of vehicle are you going to be in?
A 2008 Ford Focus.
Okay.
It's red.
We'll have somebody come out and speak with you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
Bye.
He gets there, the police get there. The police kind of do a walkthrough in the townhouse with flashlights, and they don't process the scene, and they don't secure the scene. After they get done, they talk to family members and friends, and then everybody goes to the police station for further interviewing during this time. During the time at the station, as they were interviewing friends and family, the detective took John's phone. In fact, when they released John, they didn't give him his phone back. They kept it. I would say overnight, but the fact that it was 2 or 3 in the morning when John and the others left the police station, that wouldn't be accurate. So they released John, they keep his phone, and he went home. Later on that day, they called John to come pick up his phone. That will be an important detail as we get further along in this case. That concludes the first introduction. The next episode, The Discovery, Introduction 2, will be coming out next Friday. Look for evidentiary notes in weeks to come, which is extra content and information pertinent to the case. If you like this podcast, please hit subscribe and like. You can also check out the Gone at 21 Facebook page. Until next time, I'm Jay Ryan. Take care.